Welcome to Virtual Antics, your go-to podcast for digital entrepreneurs, powered by Nodora.org and NG Virtual Assistant. We're here to guide you through every aspect of business, from networking to lead generation and so much more. Get ready to thrive in the virtual world with expert insights and our all-in-one solution, Nodora, where creating a digital business becomes a breeze. Let's dive in and revolutionize your business journey together. Welcome back to the Virtual Antics Podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Guzman, and today I have a very special guest with us. Her name is Ashley Quinto Powell, and she is a serial entrepreneur, national speaker. She is the author of Executive Motherhood, The Art of Having It All Without Doing It All. Love that. And she's the founder of a virtual assistant agency called myVA Rocks. She speaks about motherhood, and she's been on different platforms such as TEDx, anita.org, and the University of Chicago's Polsky Center, and many others. She lives in Madison with her husband and 2 children. Welcome, Ashley. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Natalie. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited because we both own VA agencies. So I was actually really excited to have you on because I want to hear how you got into this crazy business. And so tell me a little about it. How'd you get into this?
Well, I have used VAs for a long time, and actually I'm not a VA. It's a way too hard job for me. But I have been a client for a long time. And then and my previous business was focused on revenue generation for service-based companies, mostly marketing agencies and software development firms. And as part of that work, I was going back and forth between Chicago and my home in Madison. And I was using VAs to keep my consulting practice going. I would encourage my clients, because, I'm going to give them advice that's going to move their business forward. But as we all know, sales doesn't get done if there's literally anything else to do. Like your bathroom is dirty, you're going to clean it before you do sales. Your inbox is full, you got to clear that out before you can do the sales. So I kept walking my clients through bringing a virtual assistant, frankly, so we could get to the important work that I was going to do to raise their revenues. And then, I didn't have a unique experience, but pandemic parenting was such a nightmare for me personally. And part of my values is keeping women in the workforce if that's where they choose to be. So I came up with the idea that I should have a virtual assistant agency to take advantage of what I saw as a hidden labor pool in the million women who left the workforce in 2020. And the rest is history. We're certainly not all moms, but I love working with VAs who have a diverse background, particularly in entrepreneurship. And we do have lots and lots of caregivers. And I have an awesome team that all have really interesting things going on in the background.
That's awesome. That's super cool because I also went in it for or I love supporting moms, and half my staff, actually in the beginning, all my staff was women, and we just recently had men. And it's like amazing feeling to empower other women. So are your VAs, are they more US based? Are they international?
So all my VAs are US based.
Okay, amazing. That's super cool. And what I know for me personally, so like raising, having this team of VAs, we kind of work a little differently. So, most jobs, they will work like 9 to 5, and they're like, that's a hard stop. Do your VAs all have different schedules? Do they stay at a certain schedule, or is it more like task oriented where they can work anytime during the day?
Well, our VAs work sort of whatever time works best for them. I think it's the one of the main perks of being a virtual assistant. We have found that clients prefer to meet during regular business hours, and my core team only meets during business hours. So I usually say, like, I don't work nights and weekends. I would never ask anyone to work nights and weekends, but we certainly do have people where, that's when the house is quietest, or that's just when work gets done. And so it absolutely does not matter where you're working from or what time, we're really, I'm sure you're this way too, but as long as you communicate with clients, almost anything is possible.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I feel like that businesses are kind of behind on times when it comes to raising a team, because life has gotten so much more busier, so much more complicated, and so much more expensive that a lot of women especially need to stay at home with their children, or they have children with special needs, and maybe they're where they live doesn't have the support to help them to be able to go to work with a child with special needs. And we've kind of found that, being virtual assistants has saved us. I know, I actually don't know if you know my story, Ashley, but my story is that my job told me I had 2 days to give birth and then I'd have to go back to work. Yeah.
That's ludicrous.
And then that's how I started my VA agency. And I have come up with like all my VAs like kind of have similar stories, especially ones that are moms or caregivers. Cause I know you mentioned that as well. And I was like, yeah, so many people don't realize how many people are taking care of family members. And it's really hard to have a conventional job and be there for your loved one and make money. It's like you're pulled in an impossible situation and you feel like you're stretched 12 different ways. So you mentioned the pandemic and parenting, so you want to go a little bit into that and kind of the challenges that you found?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's your point is really apt, because the like quote unquote traditional 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, really like it's 8 to 6. We all know that, plus add a commute. That actually, that never worked for women really. And when we think about why it was designed, so we assume that it's because men had a wife at home who would keep the groceries purchased and the laundry going and the kids cared for. But actually, that was not a life that was available to most people, especially women of color. We're not given the privilege of staying at home ever. So we are really talking about something that worked for a tiny, tiny, tiny population. And to your point, yes, if you can figure out how to have a completely virtual workforce, the possibilities in terms of who you're able to hire just explode with possibility. And I have found that when I put, as everybody, at least everybody in Wisconsin is talking about how no one wants to return to work and it's so hard to find people to work. Well, we have a pretty awesome culture, and we have incredible clients, as I'm sure you do too. And we are pummeled with job applications. At one point, I morally and ethically, I wouldn't have done it, but I realized that I could, if I wanted to, make requirements for college degrees and then potentially master's degrees, because that's the level of people that are applying for this kind of job. And, my pandemic experience, again, not unique. We all had it. And I was working for myself, so I could at least be really loud about it. But I woke up every morning feeling like, I have all these goals and all of these things that I would like to do, and I am already way behind. I already felt like I had lost the game from the minute my eyes opened in the morning. And then I would go to bed with a searing migraine, right? Like, again, I did not have a unique experience. The unique part was that I could be really loud and public about, oh, this is miserable. We are expecting women to do way too much. And in the conversations that I was having with corporate women in particular, they would say, oh, it's miserable. I'm not getting anything done. I'm just trying to provide the 5 bajillion snacks a day and keep everybody happy. And then show up to work pretending like everything is absolutely fine. And if you had a boss and an annual review, you just could not be honest about how terrible that was. And, it's one of the reasons that we had so many women drop out. And then frankly, I had this experience where I was working with a health and wellness coach. And I described the whole thing to her. I feel like I have lost the game before it even starts in the morning. And she said, oh, we need to dig into your why. Let's do this exercise where we Simon Sinek the hell out of your scenario. And I got to tell you, I like Simon Sinek just fine, but I bristled at the idea that I needed to dive deeply into my why. And I got off I'm Midwestern, so I didn't say anything at the time. I got off of that phone call and I was like, I absolutely do not need to understand my why. I need to understand my how. Like, how are we going to do this? And I came out of that like, I need a nanny. I need more antidepressants. I need way better help. And the rest is history. And I got to tell you, I got on more antidepressants and I hired a nanny, and I beefed up how many hours I was using a virtual assistant for, and it made a huge difference.
That is amazing. And that's another thing that you did, that I'm going to commend you for, that most people, I think, let them stop themselves. But you asked for help. So getting that nanny, making sure, like a house cleaner, can't tell you how long I put off getting a house cleaner for. And I felt like, because I, as a woman, was expected to clean my house and, make sure the kids are all set, also run 2 businesses, and just like this whole thing. And I was so stressed out, and I came to a point, I was just like, it's either my business is going to flourish and my house is going to be a mess, or vice versa, right? And so I think asking for help, especially, we have this expectation of us as women, and this, society kind of built around what the lifestyle was for, like you said, that small community of people. And this was years ago, and we haven't changed and we haven't evolved. And and I think women are just starting to realize their worth and their strength, and how to ask for help, and how to stand up and be like, leave those jobs that are suffocating them and giving them ultimatums. And I think it's really cool. I want to see, I think in the next like 10 years, it's going to be like a really, really cool thing. And I think, of course, virtual jobs are just going to be more of a thing, because it's easier for us as women to be moms, caregivers, and whatever else we have going on. Even dog moms, throw those out there so that we don't have to send your dog to pet care. We actually have an employee that does that. I was like, that's so cool. You get to hang out with your dog all day. How cool is that?
It's cool.
Yeah. So even look at Zoom though. So Zoom just told all their employees they have to work in an office again. And they created the stay-at-home job. Basically, like, they were such a big implemental part during the pandemic of people working from home. They were using Zoom to communicate. I think it's crazy that they are now having their employees come back to work.
Well, I think to some extent that is definitely weak management. So it is harder. It is harder to keep an eye on a remote team, but the assumption that a manager has to be watching an employee work is so antiquated. And again, it's a very, very lazy style of management, right? And we know, so there's a specific management style called management by walking around, where you literally just lap the office. And I used to have a VP who did that. And we would sort of joke that somebody needed to put a step counter on him, because he would just lap the office. And so, he would sort of pause and ask people, oh, what are you eating for lunch? Oh, who'd you just talk to? He was listening the whole time. That was really, really effective, largely because we were a captive workforce. Nobody worked from home. But I find I get a lot more productivity out of people when, you probably experience this too. We treat them like adults. Yes. We give them goals. There are metrics. One of the things that we do in our company is that we don't have tiered pay. If you're doing a great job, you get the highest pay we can possibly give you, and no one is no one's performance is below that, because we would have had a discussion, right? That's the whole thing about management. You have to know where you are. You have to be honest. You have to have really good conversations. But insisting that people be in the office, you can physically watch them, is antiquated and ludicrous. And you said some really interesting things about help. And I wonder if you have experienced this in your business too, because I think it's the most fascinating part of the work that we do. An early challenge that I faced over in the first year and a half was that potential clients would come into a discovery call with me. They would lay out everything that they have going on. It was a lot, right? It's inevitably 2 businesses. Then I wrote a book I'm trying to promote. Then I have the kids. Then I have the civic stuff. And then, and it was not uncommon for people to burst into tears. They were so overwhelmed. And then like clockwork, 3 months later, they would say, it's not you, it's me. I just can't work with a VA. I'm not helpable. And, again, I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. We're a fine group of Midwestern people, but we don't accept help very well, even after we've asked for it. And side note, I would maybe add, is it help or is it someone else doing their fair share? Here's looking at husbands who need to be asked for help instead of just picking up the things and doing what they should. But it is really hard to, there's a lot of stuff that goes into hiring someone. We sort of specialize in VAs for if someone has not hired a virtual assistant before. And there's so much in being comfortable with feedback, having a good relationship with your virtual assistant and establishing trust and establishing a good working rhythm and meeting regularly. And so we're really doubled down on helping clients be really, really good managers to their virtual assistants.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's really, really important, creating that relationship between the client and the VA. And, we've seen that a lot too, is like that VAs are, even sometimes our VAs, they need help, or they're not sure how to do something. And so encouraging them and our employees, in any business you have, create that, really good environment. It sounds like you have, where they can, really help each other and ask for help and feel safe to ask for help. Because I know at some of my jobs, I never felt safe to ask for help or do anything but keep my head down and work. And so I absolutely love it. Now, tell me about your book, because I'm really, really interested in it.
Sure. My book is called Executive Motherhood, The Art of Having It All Without Doing It All. And I gave a TEDx by the same name, Executive Motherhood, in late 2019. And it's certainly a business book, and it's a sort of a parenting book. And it is supposed to be funny. I hope I'm funny. And there's an audiobook that's safe for the minivan. There's no swearing, but I wrote it out of from a place of keeping women in the workforce, if that's where they want to be. The amount of pressure that we put on ourselves, and the ways that society thinks of moms in particular really, really needs to change. And I think a lot about the way that we expect an internal solution from an external problem. A really good example of that is the find your why. Well, I'm overwhelmed and I have too much to do. I don't need my why, I need a how, right? I need an external solution to this external problem. And the same will apply for me for imposter syndrome, right? We're challenged with this all the time. And almost every woman that I know says that it is a fairly serious problem for her. Well, I mean, the reason that we have so-called imposter syndrome is because we've listened as people over the course of our entire careers have said, you're not qualified, you're not good enough. We're not going to, you're not going to get the job. You're not going to get the promotion. And then when we finally get past all of those tremendous barriers and we think, I can't believe this, I'm not qualified to be here, right? Well, we have been told for potentially 20 years, then all of a sudden that's a syndrome in us. And that's ludicrous. That is a very, very understandable reaction to what society has been telling us as a whole for a long, long time. And so I would contend that's not something that we need to solve within ourselves, but something that we need to look externally to solve, and in that way take away some of the responsibility and some of the guilt that we feel for again having a very understandable reaction to external stimuli.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And I absolutely love that you wrote a book to help women and really feel comfortable getting, with being an executive mom. I love that. That's so cool. Where can we find the book and more about you?
Sure, you can find it on Amazon. The audiobook is on Audible. I think probably all of the places that you would look for a Kindle or a paper copy or an Audible. can be found online, but it's Executive Motherhood, the art of having it all without doing it all.
Awesome. And how about your VA agency as well? I love promoting other VA agencies because I may not always be the right fit. So where can we find that as well?
Sure. My virtual assistant agency is myVA Rocks, and you can find it at myva.rocks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Ashley. It's been an amazing conversation, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Thank you, Natalie.